How is everyone out there doing today? Let me know in the live chat. Lots of news out there today. Looking forward to it. Also, another thing I'm very much looking forward to, President Trump will be speaking tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, which is why we chose to go live an hour later than usual today. Just so that we could catch that. So, there it is, guys. Let's go ahead and get started. Also, Subpack Vet checking in out there. It's good to see you, as always. Much love to everybody out there, and hopefully you guys are having a great Wednesday. With that being said, let's jump in. Over at thegatewaypundit.com, we have some great news to start the day off here. Rhino congressman who voted to impeach President Donald Trump will not be seeking re-election. So good riddance to Representative Dan Newhouse in 2021. Rhino Representative Dan Newhouse, a Republican, quote-unquote, in name only, of course, out of Washington, was one of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach President Donald Trump. Newhouse announced that he will not seek re-election in 2026, leaving Representative David Vallado as the only one of the group remaining in Congress. He said in a statement, "I'm announcing today that I will not seek re-election to the U.S. House of Representatives. Serving the 4th District of Washington has been the honor of my life, and this decision comes with no reservations or remorse, only gratitude for the tremendous opportunity to have represented my home state in Congress. After over 25 years of public service, including more than a decade in the House, I'm grateful to the Washingtonians who put their faith in me, as well as the colleagues I have served with on both sides of the aisle. Public service takes many forms. As I look forward to this new chapter and ways I can continue to serve my community and this great nation, I do so with confidence that there are now qualified and serious people expressing interest in this office. Central Washington will have a strong, capable leader to whom I can pass the torch. I thank my family for their steadfast love and support, which allowed me this opportunity to serve. I'm truly humbled by this uniquely American journey that took a farm boy from Sunnyside, Washington, clear across the country to represent his friends and neighbors in the other Washington. I will continue to serve my district with energy and enthusiasm until the end of my term. God bless America and God bless the people of the 4th District of Washington," he said. The fates of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach? Well, Liz Cheney was defeated in a 2022 primary. John Katko retired in 2022. Adam Kinzinger retired in 2022. Fred Upton retired in 2022. Jamie Herrera Butler defeated in a 2022 primary. Peter Meyer defeated in a 2022 primary. Anthony Gonzalez retired in 2022. Tom Rice defeated in a 2022 primary. Dan Newhouse today announcing he will not seek re-election. And David Vallado re-elected in 2024, currently serving in the 119th Congress. So there is that, my friends, from thegatewaypundit.com. Sounds like we only have one more rhino that voted to impeach President Trump to kick out of politics in this country. So there it is once again from thegatewaypundit.com. Very good news here. That Newhouse is choosing not to seek re-election. Frankly, I do wish that he was just resigning and would just get the hell out of there like right now, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? So there it is, fam. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one here, which comes from thegatewaypundit.com as well. Subpack Vet says, "Wow, that never happens. Now go buy a lotto ticket." Yeah, so he was referring to earlier in the live chat, I said I upgraded my Spectrum account to Gigabit today, and they offered that to me for free, basically. No change in the monthly bill for Gigabit internet as opposed to 600 megabit. So yeah, I nearly doubled my internet speed basically for free today, which is super awesome. That's also why I was a tad bit late to the live stream today. I think it was like 6 minutes or so, because I think when the modem like updated itself and went to the higher speed, it started freaking my computer out big time. It just was not acting right. I think the Ethernet controller was like, what the hell is going on? So I just had to restart my computer and then go live. So sorry for being just a tad bit late today, guys. Some unexpected technical difficulties. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next one here from the Gateway Pundit. Fani Willis to testify under oath before Georgia Senate Special Committee on Investigations at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That, of course, happened this morning. And we have just a general story on the fact that she's testifying. And then we did have a clip that came out of that. Apparently, she crashed out when asked a tough question. So after over a year of delays and legal battles, Fulton County DA Fani Willis is finally set to testify under oath today before the Georgia Senate Special Committee on Investigations. The committee has been investigating her handling of the now-dismissed election interference prosecution against President Donald Trump and others. In August 2023, Fani Willis indicted President Trump and 18 co-defendants for daring to challenge the 2020 election. Willis hit President Trump and the co-defendants with RICO and other charges. Last year, after a fierce court battle, Fani Willis and her entire office were disqualified from prosecuting Trump in their lawfare RICO case, which was pretty hilarious, actually. The appeals court did not throw out the charges, however. Fani Willis and her office have no authority to proceed. In November, the new Georgia prosecutor chosen to replace Fani Willis in her lawfare RICO case against President Trump dropped the case, which basically tells us that it didn't really have anything legitimate there. The Georgia appeals court disqualified Fani Willis because of an appearance of impropriety. And I honestly think it was a whole lot more than an appearance of impropriety. I think it was just straight cut impropriety. The Republican-led Senate Special Committee on Investigations has been probing allegations of misconduct in Willis's office related to the case, including her hiring practices, office finances, and past romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. Wade was paid more than $600,000 as Special Prosecutor while he was wining and dining at Fani Willis and paying for lavish vacations for them. Willis resisted subpoenas from the committee, arguing they lacked authority, but finally agreed to appear after lawmakers passed a 2025 law clarifying investigative committees' subpoena powers, and a new subpoena was issued. So there is that, guys. Once again, from thegatewaypundit.com, they do have the saved live stream for this testimony embedded at the bottom of the article. However, unfortunately, the audio is really, really, really bad, like extremely quiet. I had to completely blast my speakers earlier while I was trying to listen to the live replay of this. So keep that in mind, guys. If you want to watch this, you may want to find somewhere else that streamed it, because the Fox, the Fox one they have here from Fox News on YouTube, the audio is just extremely quiet. So keep that in mind. All right, next one here also comes from the Gateway Pundit. Fani Willis crashes out during hearing, pulls race card when confronted with documents showing how much she paid her lover, Nathan Wade. Of course, she pulled the race card, of course. That's what they usually do when trapped in a corner. They'll pull the race card before admitting fault every single time. And of course, they'll always try and find a way to make themselves the victim in these situations where they're being called out for their wrongdoings. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis on Wednesday testified before the Georgia Senate Special Committee on Investigations over her lawfare RICO case against President Trump. Fani Willis tried to block subpoenas requiring her to testify before a Georgia State Senate committee about a relationship with Nathan Wade after she was caught perjuring herself. It was previously revealed that Fani Willis had an illicit affair with Nathan Wade, the top prosecutor she hired to hunt down Trump in her RICO and conspiracy case against the former president. Well, now current president as well. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade both testified that their romantic relationship began in 2022 after Willis hired Wade in November 2021. They both lied to the court. According to cell phone data, Wade visited the Yerde condo where Willis was residing before he was hired in November 2021. A previous court filing revealed Nathan Wade paid for luxury vacations he took with Fani Willis to Napa Valley and a cruise in the Caribbean, and used money from Fulton County to pay for their out-of-town escapades. County records show that Wade, who has played a prominent role in the election interference case, had been paid nearly $654,000 in legal fees since January 2022. The DA authorizes his compensation, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported. Nathan Wade spent money on Fani Willis by buying her flowers and paying for hotels, air travel, a cruise, and Ubers. Bank statements prove Nathan Wade bought Fani Willis flights to Miami and San Francisco. On Wednesday, Fani Willis crashed out and pulled the race card when confronted with documents showing how much she paid her lover, Nathan Wade. Fani Willis is still standing by her man and vigorously defended him as she shouted at Senate investigators. "Why don't you investigate how many times they've called me the N-word?" Fani Willis said. Oh my gosh, dude. In November, Fani Willis and her entire office were disqualified from prosecuting Trump in their lawfare RICO case. The Georgia appeals court disqualified Fani Willis because of an appearance of impropriety. And I will note that in the portion that I watched earlier of this testimony, Fani Willis's voice sounded very, very shaky. She sounded extremely nervous. I don't really know what exactly that says about what's going on here, but I just thought that I'd mention that because I thought it was interesting that she sounded so darn nervous. But anyways, here is her 1-minute crash out after being asked a tough question during this testimony.
I don't review those documents, so you're asking me to look at documents that I haven't for the first time. What I can tell you is that I allowed Mr. Wade to bill 160 hours a week, and then Mr. Wade would be the first one in the office making sure that my staff arrived. He corrected their behavior. They thought that 8:30 meant 8:30. He taught them that 8:30 means 7:45. He got there before them. He left after him. He taught them how to do this case, and he was a leader to that team and a public servant. And for that, him like me has been threatened. thousands of times. You want something to investigate as a legislature? Investigate how many times they've called me the N-word. Why don't you investigate that? Why don't you investigate them writing on my house? Why don't you investigate the fact that my house has been swatted? If you want something to do with your time that makes sense, and you can use all this in your campaign ad, you attacked Fani Willis. What have you done, sir? Nothing.
So I'm going to refer you to the screen. I know you said you don't approve.
I don't look at this. I've never.
I feel like I don't even need to say anything about this, so I guess I just won't. But there it is, Fani Willis crashing out, pulling the race card during her testimony today. Also, today we had Jack Smith testifying, another crooked prosecutor trying to go after President Trump during the 2024 election. Of course, all of it was politically motivated. Former special counsel Jack Smith appeared on Capitol Hill on Wednesday for a closed-door testimony before the House Judiciary Committee. I really wish it was open door, but it wasn't, unfortunately. Republican lawmakers called Jack Smith to testify over his partisan and politically motivated Trump prosecutions. Mr. Tizo, good to see you out there. Fox News congressional reporter Bill Melugin confronted Jack Smith as he arrived on Capitol Hill. Do you have any regrets about the way your prosecutions with the president were handled? What do you plan to tell the committee? Bill Melugin asked Jack Smith. Jack Smith, of course, ignored Bill Melugin and walked past other reporters. How about you respond, Jack? Someone responded. Jack Smith defended his inquisition in an opening statement to congressional investigators. Quote, "The decision to bring charges against President Trump was mine, but the basis for those charges rests entirely with President Trump and his actions as alleged in the indictments returned by grand juries in 2 different districts," Jack Smith said. Jack Smith was appointed a special counsel in 2022 by Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate Trump just one day after Trump announced his 2024 bid for the White House. Several months later, in August 2022, Biden sent gun-toting federal agents, and they do say machine gun in the Gateway Pundit here. They don't know what a fucking machine gun is, apparently, so I'm not going to say that. A machine gun is usually, unless it's certain types of LMGs, belt-fed. What these guys had were assault rifles, or otherwise known as battle rifles. So, yeah, not a machine gun, not by military standards, but gun-toting federal agents to raid President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. In June 2023, Jack Smith indicted Trump on 37 federal counts in Miami for lawfully storing presidential records at his Mar-a-Lago estate, which was protected by Secret Service agents. Trump was charged with 31 counts under the Espionage Act of willful retention of national defense information and 6 other process crimes stemming from his conversations with his lawyer. In a separate case in Washington, D.C., Jack Smith indicted Trump on 4 counts: conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Last summer, Judge Eileen Cannon dismissed Jack Smith's classified documents case based on unlawful appointment and funding of the special counsel. Jack Smith's D.C. case was dismissed after President Trump won the 2024 presidential election. So let's go ahead and check out the clip here of Jack Smith utterly ignoring these reporters as he walked into the building. Here we go.
Mr. Smith, do you have any regrets about the way your prosecutions of the president were handled? What do you plan to tell the committee today, sir? Mr. Smith, do you prefer a public setting for this hearing?
How about you respond, Jack?
Mr. Smith, you said you wanted a public hearing. What do you want the public to know, sir?
Yeah, I also find that kind of interesting. Why did Jack Smith want a public hearing so bad? What was the plan there?
Smith is going to be deposed behind closed doors by the House Judiciary Committee. That is chaired by Congressman Jim Jordan. Smith was the special counsel who oversaw 2 federal criminal cases against President Trump.
So there it is, guys. Utterly ignoring every single reporter asking him questions. But honestly, I can't say that I'm all that surprised. So there it is, fam. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which comes from Breitbart.com. FBI expressed doubts about Mar-a-Lago raid justification. Emails revealed the DOJ pressure and internal disputes. So more on the fact that the FBI basically said during the Biden regime that they probably did not have the proper authorization to do what they were doing. But of course, the Biden DOJ pressured them because, you know, their idea was to try and throw President Trump in jail so that they didn't actually have to compete against him in the election. So let's go ahead and take a look. By the way, somebody out there, Stealth donated 111 gold pills out there on pilled.net. Whoever that was, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So here we go from Breitbart. Newly declassified FBI emails show that officials expressed concern about a lack of probable cause for the 2022 search of President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. But the operation proceeded after the Justice Department asserted that the legal standard had been met, revealing internal disagreement over whether a search warrant was justified at the time. Fox News Digital has obtained and reviewed internal FBI and DOJ emails showing internal concerns and disagreements within the Bureau in the lead up to the August 2022 raid of Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. Despite agents raising doubts about the corroborated evidence and the strength of probable cause, the Department of Justice moved forward with the search. In an email, one assistant special agent in charge wrote that very little has been developed related to who might be culpable for mishandling the documents. The agent noted concerns that the draft search warrant affidavit was based on single source information that had not been corroborated and may be dated. While recommending that a conversation with Trump's attorney ought not to be discounted, the agent also noted that the DOJ's criminal enforcement section believed the affidavit met the probable cause standard. This internal uncertainty was echoed by other agents who questioned the evidentiary strength supporting the search. One FBI official candidly asked, absent a witness coming forward with recent information about classified on site, at what point is it fair to table this? They further added that the process was becoming time-consuming and not yielding new facts supporting PC. Despite the concerns, DOJ leadership continued to press for the search. In an August 4th, 2022 email, one agent referenced Deputy Assistant Attorney General George Tuskus as saying he frankly doesn't give a damn about the optics. The agent warned that without effective coordination and consideration of law enforcement safety, the raid risked escalating tensions unnecessarily. Still, the execution went 4 days later, with FBI agents arriving at Mar-a-Lago on August 8th. Breitbart News had reported that the search warrant, signed by Judge Bruce Reinhardt on August 5th, allowed up to 2 weeks for execution. The decision to delay until August 8th, despite alleged national security concerns, raised additional questions about the urgency of the DOJ's actions. The warrant did not permit access to areas used by third parties, and agents had discretion to search areas tied to Trump and his staff, including private offices and storage rooms. The operation order included standard DOJ language authorizing the use of deadly force if necessary, a fact that became publicly known through 2024 court filings, which is just insane. We're talking about a former president of the United States House, and they're going to authorize the use of deadly force if necessary. What do they think President Trump's going to do? Kick down his bedroom door and rack a 12 gauge? Like, it's just unbelievable, dude. According to those documents, FBI agents were instructed to conceal weapons and equipment, wear unmarked clothing, and arrive prepared with bolt cutters, handcuffs, and a medic in case of conflict. This use of force policy language was also applied in the DOJ's search of President Joe Biden's residence in 2023 for classified materials. The documents also reflect the FBI's intent to execute the warrant in a low-key and professional manner. However, Trump attorneys were not allowed inside the premises during the search, and Republican-aligned figures cited in Breitbart News coverage raised concerns about the raid's scope, execution, and the staging of evidence, including a now widely circulated photo of classified marked folders on the floor, which Trump's legal team and allies suggested had been intentionally arranged for visual effect. The FBI is said to have combed through First Lady Melania Trump's wardrobe and conducted what Trump described as a deep and ugly search of his son Barron's room. Over 30 agents spent approximately 9 hours inside the 128-room estate, removing numerous boxes. Among the seized items were allegedly empty folders marked classified mixed with personal materials and letters from foreign leaders. FBI receipts showed Trump's passports were also taken, despite no warrant language authorizing their seizure. Some DOJ and FBI officials, according to Newsweek reporting, blamed each other for the decision-making surrounding the raid. DOJ sources suggested FBI Director Christopher Wray had the final say. The raid was characterized by one DOJ official as a spectacular backfire, noting that efforts to minimize media attention failed and instead created the opposite effect. Trump's legal team and supporters have consistently maintained that the president had classified the documents in question. The raid, they argue, was unnecessary and politically motivated. Trump referred to the event as an assault on a political opponent at a level never seen before in our country. He later described it as a break-in and stated that the FBI had been cooperating with his team prior to the search. After special counsel Jack Smith brought 37 felony charges related to classified materials, Trump pleaded not guilty. Additional counts were added in a superseding indictment, but all charges were dropped after Trump won the 2024 presidential election. The role of the Biden White House in the lead-up to the raid also remains a matter of ongoing scrutiny. Documents obtained by America First Legal suggest the White House initiated a special access request that facilitated the DOJ's retrieval of documents contradicting public statements from both the archives and the White House officials at the time. So there it is. I would expect, based on just this alone, that coming down the pike, we will be seeing some accountability, at least. I really hope that's what we're going to end up seeing. We really, really, really need some deep staters in frickin' prison before the midterms. I'll tell you guys that much. It's just unbelievable what they have so far gotten away with. Willie Fix-It out there, good to see you as always, my friend. Much love to you. And once again, shout out to everybody out there. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show thus far. If you are, make sure to smash that red pill button on thepill.net, the thumbs up over there on YouTube, all that good stuff. And once again, hopefully you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday. Next one here comes out of justthenews.com. Trump shares Just the News reporting on FBI doubts about Mar-a-Lago raid and calls it unreasonable. So here's what President Trump is saying about this. President Trump said the FBI's criminal raid on Mar-a-Lago was an unreasonable search and seizure. Unreasonable search and seizure. That was the FBI's criminal raid on Mar-a-Lago. This can never be allowed to happen again. President DJT, Trump posted on Truth Social late Tuesday. Just before Trump's post, he shared a video of Just the News founder John Solomon on the Fox News channel, the Fox News official Hannity. That should say show. I don't know what the hell it says official on there for. Discussing Just the News reporting on Tuesday that the FBI under Joe Biden raised doubts that a search warrant for Mar-a-Lago met probable cause standards. Also, the Biden Justice Department pushed to expand the search's scope, refused cooperation with Trump's attorney, and discounted the agent's concerns about the optics of the raid, according to two newly declassified emails turned over to Congress. So there is that, guys, once again from justthenews.com. Hopefully, at some point in time, we see coming out of Congress a whole lot of criminal referrals to the DOJ. Seems like the next logical step in this whole thing, especially as when you mix in Arctic frost into this as well. Western Journal has our next story. Trump White House shuts down Biden's plea for presidential immunity, which, wow, I like it. Joe Biden has lost a battle in his effort to limit the investigation into the use of the auto pen during his presidency. Biden had contacted the National Archives in an effort to claim executive privilege over certain documents, but the Trump administration turned down the request Tuesday, Fox News has reported. I am concerned that disclosure of these materials would damage important institutional interests of the presidency, including by impairing the ability of future presidents to receive robust, candid advice from their close advisors, Biden said in an October 1st letter to the Archival Operations Division of the National Archives and Records Administration. For these reasons, I hereby assert executive privilege over the documents listed, he wrote. I have raised no objections to multiple requests for presidential records from my administration, and hundreds of documents have already been provided to Congress pursuant to those requests, but the records now proposed for release include documents reflecting presidential decision-making and deliberations and other materials that are protected by executive privilege, Biden wrote. White House counsel David Warrington said in a letter to the archives that the claim for presidential immunity should be rejected. President Trump has determined that an assertion of executive privilege is not in the best interests of the United States and therefore is not justified as to any of the documents requested by the United States Congress, the letter to the archives said. As President Trump has stated, the abuse of the auto pen that took place during the Biden presidency and the extraordinary efforts to shield Biden's diminished faculties from the public must be subject to a full accounting to ensure nothing similar ever happens again, Warrington wrote. Similarly, Biden's repeated abuses of the rights of American citizens during the pandemic and his politically motivated efforts to investigate members of Congress must also be subject to a full accounting to ensure nothing similar ever happens again, Warrington wrote. Congress has a compelling need in service of its legislative functions to understand the circumstances that led to all these horrific events, the letter said. The letter said that these are unique and extraordinary circumstances. Congress is examining an assault on the president's constitutional duties, the civil liberties the Constitution provides all Americans, and the democratic institution of Congress itself. The constitutional protections of executive privilege should not be used to shield from Congress or the public information that reflects a clear and apparent effort to subvert the Constitution itself, he wrote. So, there it is. Further, Warrington noted that the signature on the letter seeking immunity did not match signatures on pardons for his son Hunter and for other family members. Congress has launched investigations into the use of the auto pen in the Biden White House, while President Donald Trump has said that all documents signed with the auto pen should be invalid. So there is that, once again, from westernjournal.com. Wouldn't it be amazing if all of those documents ended up being invalidated, including the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court? I think that would be absolutely freaking awesome, and exactly what we need, maybe, to get back into a more winning, joyful, high morale type of situations. or situation on the right here before the midterms, which I think that we do need an improvement in the morale. I think that there's been lately a morale problem. But anyways, very interesting stuff indeed. Always love to have an update to the AutoPen scandal. President Trump basically saying, nope, you don't get executive privilege over these documents, while Biden basically begs for the administration to not be transparent when it comes to the AutoPen and how much of a vegetable that Joe Biden really was when he was the so-called president of the United States. So there it is. Moving on to the next one here, which comes from the Epoch Times. Kind of a shocker today. Dan Bongino to resign as FBI deputy director. And he did not actually give a reason, although President Trump said in some remarks that he thinks that Dan would like to go back to his show. As you guys know, Dan Bongino used to be kind of a podcaster guy. He had his own news show, commentary show, political commentary, and he did very well with it. So that's what President Trump is saying, that Dan Bongino just wants to go back to his show, although there's probably other reasons why he wants to leave the FBI as well. I would not be surprised if maybe he's a little bit frustrated with certain things. R4 Cents out there with the cookie says, check pilled DMs for a Biden stolen valor story. Sure, if I have time, I will grab that and cover that if we have time. I am trying to get through these articles before 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern, as that's when President Trump is set to speak today, and I did really, really, really want to check that out. So yeah, if I get a chance, I will absolutely go ahead and cover that. Let's see here. Oh, wow, we got a raid from Red Pill 78, not only on pill.net, but also over on Rumble. Red Pill 78, thank you very much for the raid, my friend. I really appreciate it, and shout out to everyone checking in over there on Rumble, and of course over here on Pilled. Hopefully you guys out there are having a wonderful Wednesday. J2 Dank out there with a can. Thank you very much for the can, J2 Dank, as always. I really appreciate that. That brings us to about 4% to the goal for the day, I think. Maybe 3. Anyways, over on Rumble, also Northern Pike says, from the Roosta to Young Rush, Wisconsin is under attack by the state government. 18 U.S. Code 2381. Trump must step in with Space Force, Intel, and the military. Happy holidays, Lil Rush. Northern Pike, thank you very much for the $5 Rumble rant, my friend. I really appreciate it. Yeah, if you could send me something on that. I haven't heard about what's going on really in Wisconsin. Other than I think yesterday I saw something from their judiciary that was really concerning. So if that's what you're talking about, let me know. But yeah. Anyway, so there it is. Let's go ahead and get back into it here. So yeah, Dan Bongino is saying today that he is leaving the FBI. The deputy director, Dan Bongino, has resigned less than a year into the job. I believe in my position with the FBI in January, Bongino wrote in a next post on December 17th. I want to thank President Donald Trump, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and FBI Director Kash Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, he said, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and all those who defend her. Trump signaled that Bongino will be leaving his post hours before the announcement was made official. Dan did a great job. Trump told reporters at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland on Wednesday, I think he wants to go back to his show. Bongino, who started his career as an officer for the New York Police Department and special agent for the U.S. Secret Service, was most known for being a political commentator on Fox News since 2013, as well as hosting his own show, The Dan Bongino Show, on Rumble before he joined the FBI in February 2025. Bongino did not have prior experience in the FBI before he was tapped for the number 2 position under Patel. The Epoch Times contacted Fox News for comment on whether Bongino would return. Now, they do say that he didn't have prior experience in the FBI, which is true, but he did have a career in the Secret Service for quite a long time, so I feel like they should have mentioned that in the story. But anyways, I mean, what are your guys' ideas out there? Do you have any idea why Dan would be leaving? Anybody have any inklings out there as to why this is occurring? Because this actually really came as a surprise to me, to be honest with you guys. I did not expect to see this story today. But it did come out. Kegel88 says, those who know cannot sleep. Dan has seen some stuff he'll never be able to wipe from his mind. Unfortunately, he helped get the pipe bomber, and that was his number 1 goal. So yeah, maybe he feels that, his mission at the FBI was over. Now that the pipe bomb thing is over, maybe that's how he feels, and he would just like to go back to political commentary. And honestly, when you're the deputy director of the FBI, you go from podcasting to that, it's like completely life-changing, right? And I think that, part of it maybe is that he feels that as the deputy director of the FBI, he can't really like speak freely on things. He has to, keep certain things under lock and key. And he can't be like, as candid as he normally would be when he's in that type of position. Maybe that's it. Subpack Vet says Bongino stated that it was a huge strain on his family. So, yeah, I mean, that's totally understandable as well. I wouldn't doubt that it's been a huge strain on his family. And maybe he's just, sick and tired of it. He doesn't want to, put them through anything, and he wants to spend more time with them. Facts Not Fear saying pray his cancer hasn't returned. And, yeah, I really hope that's not the case, but he hasn't said so. So, who knows? Gat says too much bullshit. Yeah, it very possibly, it very well could be that he's just, really frustrated with certain things. Everett Home out there says Bondi's sandbagging. And yeah, like I said, guys, it could be. Kegel Idiot says stress is bad for your health. That could be it as well. Maybe it's a mixture of all these things, guys. Scout65 says he's probably frustrated with what's not happening, perhaps. And I think a lot of us are, right? So that it would be understandable to be, for him to be frustrated. Dragonfly777 over there says, Dan looks tired, hope he's okay. Same here. He does look tired. They got harassed, his fam, they also said. So yeah, that's horrible to hear. But of course, like, not surprising at all, considering just how crazy everything has been. So, yeah, interesting thoughts out there, guys. Castle Drummer out there says there's likely a lot he won't be able to talk about, but what he will be able to share will still be enlightening. 1,000%. Great comment there as well. And I was thinking about this earlier, like, man, he's going to go back in his show and he's going to feel like he's got a million things that he wants to say and that he just can't, right? So it's interesting. I'll definitely be trying to tune into his first show back to hear what he has to say about all of it. Also, a few guys over there on Rumble were saying, like, I don't want to listen to this guy. I want Red Pill back and, like, too much reading, blah, blah, blah. That's okay if you guys don't like my show. Look, guys, this show is not about commentary. It's about just getting the news out there and keeping people informed about what's going on. So if it's not your style, I completely and totally understand. You guys, you're not required to enjoy what I do, but I do hope that you guys at least appreciate that I'm putting the news out there so you guys can stay informed. That's the main goal. So there it is. If you want commentary and a whole lot of it, and spitballing and speculation and conversation, then you can. There's a million other shows out there that do that stuff, guys. So don't feel like you have to be here listening to the news if it's not your cup of tea. Next one here from Zero Hedge. Fellow judge delivers blow to the defense of Hannah Dugan. So we have an update in the Hannah Dugan case, which I'm very happy to see as well. It's been one of my favorite stories, honestly, to keep following. So let's go ahead and take a look. The trial of Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan began this week. Yesterday, the defense was delivered a blow from the testimony of the judge, who Dugan enlisted to confront ICE officers seeking to arrest an illegal alien in the courthouse. Judge Cristela Cervera testified that she was pulled into the dispute by Dugan, who she said had admitted that she was trying to help Eduardo Flores Ruiz as he evaded officers. Many of us were wondering who the second judge was who appeared in the hallway wearing her robes. It is irregular to see judges outside of their courtrooms wearing their robes. And yeah, it is weird. Why are there two judges here? And this is actually the first time I've heard anyone ask these questions, so it's interesting. Good job, Zero Hedge, I guess. Cervera said that Dugan specifically told her to keep the robe on and that she was reluctant to do so. Quote, I didn't want to walk in the hallway with my robe on. Dugan, however, allegedly wanted the agents to see them in their robes as a sign of authority. Oh my gosh. She said that the agent remained respectful, but that Dugan was getting upset in the confrontation. Her irritation seemed to progress to anger. I thought she could have been a little more diplomatic. That coincides with the testimony of FBI Special Agent Jeffrey Baker, who stated, I would say angry is the best way to describe it. Likewise, U.S. Customs and Border Protection Officer Joseph Zeraw stated that Dugan ordered him to get out of the public hallway and told him to go to the chief judge's office. She then allegedly helped the suspect escape through a side door. Cervera also testified that she was shocked by Dugan's later conduct and that judges should not be helping defendants evade arrest. She added, "I was mortified. I thought that someone may think that I was part of some of what happened." Cervera said she was shocked by attorneys praising her for helping Flores Ruiz escape. She described attorneys pumping their fists and telling her, "You go, Judge," and saying, "Judge, you're goated now." Yeah, you're also indicted, so congratulations. She said that she avoided Cervera but ran her into an elevator. Or ran into her in an elevator, excuse me. She noted that Cervera told her she was in the doghouse with the chief judge for trying to help Flores Ruiz. The testimony supports the allegation that Dugan knowingly sought to help Flores Ruiz and that her actions were outside her role as a judge in the courthouse. Dugan is charged with obstruction of a federal agency, a felony, and concealing a wanted person, a misdemeanor. As I discussed in earlier columns, the defense may be hoping for jury nullification in the Liberal District. The reaction of lawyers lionizing the judges for facilitating the escape of a suspect may suggest that such a conclusion is possible in this district. The defense may be hoping that at least one juror will discard any testimony and stand with Dugan against ICE and the Trump administration. And that's really what I'm worried about here, is the integrity of the jury. The jury pool can only be viewed as overwhelmingly in favor of Dugan. Kamala Harris won Milwaukee by a margin of 68, minus 30% over Trump. 68% minus 30%? What the hell does that even mean? I don't know. The chances of getting politically motivated jurors are obviously significant, though that obviously does not mean that jurors cannot be persuaded in the end by the strength of this evidence. So, yeah, I will keep you guys updated, I guess, on what happens next in the Dugan case. If she is acquitted by the jury, I'm not going to be a happy man. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there will be very unhappy about that as well, if that happens. So I guess we'll hope and pray that the jury does the right thing instead of being politically biased. So there is that, my friends. Checking up on the gold pills again. It looks like we're caught up. Once again, guys, I appreciate the support thus far. Unicorn77 says, "Glad to have found you through Zach's raid." Thank you. I appreciate that. The Ninth Plague says, "I'm enjoying." Thank you. Thank you as well. All the positive comments out there, guys. I really appreciate it. It means a million. It just means like everything to me. I don't know where the million came from, but it just means a lot, guys. So I really appreciate it. Annie Get Your Gun says, "I love your channel. Great podcast. People are so rude." Says Sleepless in Georgia. Sometimes it can be. It's okay, though. It doesn't just right off the shoulders, guys. Right off the friggin' shoulders. State One Union says, "I just hit the like button. Came over from Red Pill and think you are delightful. I will follow." Says TKane2. Thank you. I appreciate that. True Deplorable says, great username, by the way. Bongino probably very frustrated with the control over them, not being able to get what they want to get done. Yeah. Anna Get Your Gun says, "The robe is their costume to these judges." Honestly, they should just wear a clown suit at this point, right? Let's see here. Hit the like. Everyone says TKane2. Once again, I appreciate that, guys. My Nexus says, "Most judges are criminals. Yeah, sit in any court and witness it for yourself. I've never seen justice in any courtroom. Bars should not be in America." And then Little Pitchy says, "Followed too." You guys out there are killing it. Thank you very much for all of your beautiful comments. I really appreciate you guys. Subpack Vet says, "I'll reserve judgment until I hear the singing pickle." Much love to you, Subpack Vet. Oh, man. I do have the singing pickle, by the way. The yodeling pickle. It's sitting on the shelf over there. Sean Joe with a can and a cookie. Thank you for the can and the cookie, Sean Joe. I really appreciate that. Once again, guys, shout out to all of you guys out there, and hope that your Wednesday is going superbly. With that being said, let's jump back into the news. We have a whole lot more to get into here, and it's 7:56 p.m., so I have another hour to try and get through the rest of this news before President Trump comes on and speaks. Also, I was asked earlier by, I think, Kaggle88, and I forgot to answer your question. Yes, I'm streaming that. That's actually the reason I decided to go live an hour later than normally tonight, just because I felt that, if we finished up with the news at this time, 8 p.m., then I have to sit here and twiddle my thumbs for an hour before President Trump comes on. I did not want to do that. So here we are, an hour later than normal here on the show. CL Goober with a can. Thank you for the can, CL Goober, as always. Really appreciate that. Let's get back into it here. At least 2 of the 5 leftist New Year's Eve bombing suspects are transgender. Color me surprised, guys. A new report claims that 2 of 5 people arrested in connection with what the FBI said was a plot to unleash a wave of terrorist bombings in Los Angeles on New Year's Eve are transgender. The FBI said that the people arrested were a splinter group of the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Yes, it is as stupid as it sounds, which federal officials said has a pro-Palestinian, anti-law enforcement, and anti-government ideology, according to USA Today. The suspects were part of a Signal group chat calling itself Order of the Black Lotus. Even lamer. Like, these people are so lame, it's unbelievable. They have no idea, like, they're oblivious to how lame they are. Order of the Black Lotus. Oh, we sound so cool, guys. Okay. Sorry, I just had to joke about that, because that's legitimately funny to me. FBI Director Kash Patel named 4 suspects: Audrey Eileen Carroll, 30 years old, Dante Garfield, 24 years old, Zachary Aaron Page, 32 years old, and Tina Lai, 41 years old, and said 5 businesses were being targeted. The defendants also allegedly discussed using pipe bombs. Sorry about that USB sound, guys. I don't know what the hell that was, but that was on my end, not yours, just so you know. The defendants also allegedly discussed using pipe bombs to attack U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement facilities, with Carroll accused of saying that would take some of them out and scare the rest of them. Journalist Andy Ngo said there was another dimension to the arrests. Quote, I can exclusively report that the 5th unnamed arrested suspect in the Turtle Island Liberation Front New Year's Eve mass bombing terror plot is Trantifa militant Micah James Legnan, NGO, posted on X. I almost called this man NGO. Look at me go, guys. Yes, Andy Ngo is apparently a non-governmental organization. All right, sorry about that. Getting back to it. Legnan is on a federal hold in Lafayette. He is a trans activist and identifies as a female. His social media is filled with posts calling for the murder of people he labels as fascists, Ngo wrote. Authorities say the Turtle Island Liberation Front, a far-left communist decolonization terror group, planned to blow up ICE agents in locations with homemade bombs, he wrote. Audrey Eileen Carroll, Zachary Aaron Page, Tina Lai, and Dante Garfield are the other comrades arrested in Los Angeles after they were caught allegedly traveling to the desert to test their explosives, he wrote. Legnan is an ex-Marine and a former cop, he wrote. Wow, what a fall from grace, right? Ex-Marine, former cop, you go trans, and then you end up in a Trantifa terrorist cell. Unbelievable, man. As noted by Fox News, investigators said that when they searched the suspects' homes, they found a detailed copy of the planned attack. A federal criminal complaint said 3 suspects had gone to the Mojave Desert to test their bombs. While in the desert, the co-conspirators took steps to begin construction of the devices, including unloading the bomb-making materials, like precursors, PVC pipes, and fuses, from their cars and beginning to assemble the materials on a table, constructing a tent to keep the bomb materials shaded from the sun. I guess smart move there, the first smart move I've seen these people make, wiping down the interior of one of the PVC pipes, the complaint said. And yeah, they were probably smoking PCP, so we'll just leave that in there. The complaint said that the group planned to divide into teams to put backpacks with IEDs in them at their assigned targets, according to ABC News. An off-ground team member would monitor police scanners, according to the complaint. So there is that. Once again, from thegatewaypundit.com, good work with law enforcement catching these people. And yeah, it comes as absolutely no surprise, literally at all, that 2 of the 5 leftists in this Trantifa cell are transgenders. So there it is. Yeah, I think that there needs to be a much wider conversation in the nation about transgenders and their proclivity for violent outbursts tied to, I think, other mental health problems that they have. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think that we need to have a big conversation about it because we've seen a whole lot of attacks, many of them political, from these types of people. So, there it is. Subpack Vet says, I heard that a drone caught the video of all that out in the desert, but can't fully sauce that. Well, hopefully that story does come out, because that would be very interesting to cover indeed. I'll keep my eye out on that. If I see anything about that, I will certainly bring it to your guys' attention. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the next story here, which comes out of Breitbart. We have more updates on the Reiner situation. Nick Reiner has officially been charged with 2 counts of murder and the stabbing death of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner. And there's one detail about this story that is like completely different depending on what publication you go to. And I don't know how much this really means, but I just thought that I would like put this out there for you guys to kind of chew on. many publications say that they were stabbed to death, which would suggest multiple stab wounds to the torso area or maybe the neck, right? Other publications claim that they had their throats cut, which would simply mean a, slash across the carotid artery, and that they die very quickly when that happens, obviously. So I don't know. I think it's a weird, detail that's not consistent across stories, and I don't know why that detail would not be consistent across stories. Usually the mainstream media really likes to get into the weeds on the gruesome details, and it just seems like they just can't get their damn story straight on that. So, again, I don't know how much that means. I don't know if it really means anything, to be honest with you guys. I just thought it was an interesting inconsistency in the story. But getting into it here, a first court appearance is scheduled for Wednesday for Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, where he will face 2 counts of first-degree murder and the killing of his parents. AP reports the 32-year-old was charged Tuesday with killing the 78-year-old actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner. Los Angeles County DA Nathan Hochman announced at a news conference with the LA Police Chief Jim McDonnell. Their loss is beyond tragic, and we will commit ourselves to bringing their murderer to justice, Hochman said. Along with the 2 counts of first-degree murder, prosecutors added special circumstances of multiple murders and the special allegation that the defendant used a dangerous weapon, a knife. The additions could mean a greater sentence, the AP report makes clear. And I always found that to be kind of silly about our justice system. Yeah, you killed people, but because you killed people using this thing we don't like, we're going to put you in jail for longer. What does it matter, what was used to kill the person? The person's dead. That's the actual harm here. Who cares if he used a knife or a gun or a car or a freaking flamethrower? The person's dead. That's the crime, not what he used. Does anyone out there get what I'm putting down here? Why as a society do we focus on things that are meaningless? Why do we do that? I don't know. Anyways. So Hochman said his office has not yet decided whether to seek the death penalty in the case. But although, they're saying they're still making that decision, so we'll see. This case is heartbreaking and deeply personal, not only for the Reiner family and their loved ones, but for our entire city, McDonnell said. As Breitbart News reported, the Los Angeles Fire Department said it responded to a medical aid request shortly after 3:30 p.m. Sunday and found a 78-year-old man and 68-year-old woman dead inside a private residence. They were later identified as Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner. Nick Reiner was eventually arrested that night. It was booked early Monday morning and lodged in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Jail around 7 a.m. on Monday. So there it is, guys, once again from Breitbart.com. I think... nope, we don't have anything else on this actually today. So if you guys are sick and tired of hearing about Rob Reiner and his wife being murdered, then today's your lucky day, guys, because all we have is one story. Next one here comes from the Gateway Pundit. North Carolina repeat offender and murderer who served just 5 years has been arrested for killing a woman who was 74 years old after hijacking an ambulance. So again, perfect example of soft on crime policies that end up harming people. And the Liberty Lion out there says you've got some spammers. Yeah, I've noticed that actually. Let me go ahead and get those guys off of there for you guys. Sorry about that. Sometimes it's like playing whack-a-mole, guys, and this is the first time I've had a lot of viewers on Rumble in a very long time, thanks to Red Pill 78's raid. So once again, I appreciate you guys out there. All of your wonderful comments and whatnot. You guys have been really great, and I'm glad to be streaming out to a even larger audience today. So once again, a shout out to you guys out there. I really appreciate all of your comments. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to it. Moving on to the next one here from the Gateway Pundit. So another day, another recidivist allegedly killing somebody in America. Yet again, we're talking about North Carolina, sadly. Thankfully, it's not the Charlotte Light Rail this time, although that's cold comfort to both the family of the victim and everyone who cares about public safety. This time, however, the alleged killer will be a recidivist murderer. Yes, that's right. Even in somewhat red North Carolina, you can commit murder, get out, and murder again within just a few years, allegedly. According to WPDE-TV, 36-year-old Cheyenne Woods has been charged with first-degree murder after authorities say he shot and killed 74-year-old Marie Locklear after a chase in a hijacked EMS vehicle. Police say that first responders were dispatched to a property in Maxton, North Carolina for a medical emergency on Saturday. While it's unclear what the details of said medical emergency were, Woods was being transported to the hospital in an ambulance when he allegedly brandished a firearm and commandeered the vehicle from the EMS workers. He then fled the scene. Later, while still driving the ambulance, police say he crashed into a car being driven by Locklear. He then got out of the vehicle and shot her. She was transported to the hospital but later died from her injuries. This is yet another senseless act of murder committed by a repeat felon whose criminal history includes a prior murder conviction, Robeson County Sheriff Bernice Wilkins said. The facts of this case are deeply disturbing. The suspect was armed, requested medical assistance, stole an ambulance, crashed it, and then opened fire on an innocent elderly woman without provocation. Locklear's husband of 52 years was also shocked. I was at a Christmas dinner, had finished eating, and I was told my wife had been shot in the arm, and I just could not believe what was going on at that time, Ronnie Locklear said, adding that his wife had spent most of the day with her terminally ill sister who was at the hospital. The victim's son, Donald Locklear, got a chance to talk with his mother at the hospital before she died. She was in a lot of pain, of course. She couldn't understand what had happened. She was in a lot of pain, he said. And now, of course, we get to Mr. Woods' extensive criminal background, which should have already landed him behind bars for the rest of his life. WRAL-TV reported that his history with the law began with a 2008 murder and robbery of Jessica Cahoon in Fayetteville, North Carolina. He was convicted only of the robbery with a dangerous weapon charge in 2012. He was released in 2016. In 2017, he was locked up again after being convicted of a second-degree murder charge which stemmed from a killing in 2010. Despite a 13-year sentence with a minimum of 10 years, he was released in 2022 after only serving 5. Why? Right? It's just insane. Officials said this might have been because of credit for time served and good behavior, which, considering he spent the 4 years prior to his conviction in jail on other charges, doesn't precisely hold weight. This comes after a number of high-profile cases involving recidivist offenders, both in North Carolina and elsewhere in the U.S., which can be pegged on prima facie insane progressive criminal justice policy, or soft-on-crime policies, as President Trump calls them. In Chicago, a man who had been arrested no less than 72 times is facing federal terrorism charges, inter alia, after allegedly lighting a young woman on fire aboard the CTA trains there. In Charlotte, meanwhile, we had both the August stabbing of a Ukrainian refugee, Irina Zarutska, allegedly by a mentally ill career criminal, and the December stabbing of a Good Samaritan on board the same system, reportedly by an illegal immigrant who was drunk and harassing passengers. In America, we've mostly done away with 3 strikes laws. This is a shame, because the evidence is that they work, they generally don't ensnare innocent individuals, and they stop recidivist crime. A paper published by the Sandra Day O'Connor School of Law at Arizona State University called the effect of incarceration modest, and by that they meant in the neighborhood of 2 to 5 serious crimes per year of prison time. I guarantee this isn't modest if you're at the receiving end of one of these crimes, but that's beside the point. The same paper said that the criminal justice system should focus on releasing individuals who are at the lowest risk for offending. If you've been in jail for killing somebody and were previously incarcerated for a crime which killed somebody, there is a ridiculously good argument that you shouldn't get a 3rd strike, and certainly not a mere 13 years on from your first conviction. This is a too often repeated outrage that America needs to put a stop to in post haste, which I could not agree with more. Could not agree with that more. So there it is, guys, once again, from thegatewaypundit.com. I really, really, really hope that at some point in time, every single state, city, municipality, whatever, within the borders of the United States does not subscribe to any of these soft-on-crime policies, because all of these soft-on-crime policies end up with more innocent people victimized and very non-innocent people needlessly being out on the streets when they absolutely should not be. So there is that. Let's see here. The Liberty Lion says, give me the wrench of power, I'll whack him for you. I'm out on a few channels, free speech is fine, spammers gotta go. Cool, how do I do that actually? Is there like a button that allows me to do that like really quickly? It doesn't look like it. Does anyone know how to mod somebody on Rumble without leaving the main screen? That would be really helpful. Let me know if you guys know how I can do that. I'm not very, when it comes to Rumble, guys, I'm on there, but this is the first day in a long time that I've actually paid any attention to it, to be honest with you guys. Northern Pike with a $2 Rumble rant says, you remind me of a very, very young Rush Limbaugh. Get rid of the Oz and be certain of commentary, yet be yourself. Check out some Ola Rush, much love, Pixels, and Merry Christmas. I do remember seeing some clips of Rush Limbaugh. The guy was an absolute freaking legend. Nothing but respect and love for the man. And to be compared to him in any way is it's a big honor, my friend. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, I do need to go ahead and look into Rush Limbaugh, see if I can find some old clips of the guy. But yeah, the Oz and does. I know, guys, it's really, really hard to not say and when I'm trying. There I go. It's right there, trying to find my words, and I just feel like I need to keep the mic receiving something. So I don't know. Maybe you guys out there have done a podcast before and have had your issues with that. It's very difficult to not do that, I can tell you that much. Next one here comes from the Gateway Pundit. Providence police released photos of a person in proximity to Brown University shooting person of interest. So essentially what we have here is a manhunt that is not going well thus far. And it sounds like the reason for that is that they really just don't have enough cameras on campus, which you'd think that every single campus in the entire United States would be plastered with infinite cameras, but no. Especially these days with so much violence in our society, right? You'd think that colleges would want to put cameras up all over the place, but apparently not at this one. So anyways, Providence police on Wednesday released photos of a person who is in proximity of the person of interest in Brown University shooting. 2 people were killed and 9 critically wounded after the gunman opened fire at Brown University on Saturday afternoon. It is now day 5 of the manhunt, and law enforcement doesn't know the identity of the gunman. Investigators are asking for the public's help in identifying and speaking to the individual shown in these photos who is in proximity of the person of interest, Providence police said. Anyone with information is urged to contact the tip line at 401-272-3121, the police said. FBI Boston is also asking the public for help identifying the person in proximity to the person of interest. Providence police released an enhanced photo of the person in proximity to the Brown University shooting person of interest. The police also released a map showing the streets where the person of interest in the Brown University shooting is confirmed to have been present on the day of the shooting. Law enforcement on Tuesday released a new timeline and footage of a person of interest in the deadly Brown University shooting. The footage shows a male with a pudgy belly walking past police just minutes after the shooting that left 2 people dead. The shooting occurred at 4:03 p.m. Eastern Time. The video shows a person of interest walking past first responders after the shooting. Later Tuesday, the FBI released enhanced video of the person of interest. Clearer footage of the person of interest shows a portly male walking along residential streets before and after the shooting. So that's basically all they know about this guy, is that he's kind of heavy set, and they know that this person was near him at one point in time. So essentially, what it looks like here is they're trying to get a hold of this guy in order to maybe ask him, did you get a good look at the suspect? I'm sure this guy has some information that would be very useful to them. So. Just to make very clear, they're not saying that this guy's in any trouble. He's not a suspect or anything like that. They just think that he may have some information. He may have gotten a good look at the person of interest. So there is that. Subpack Vet says, so Season Pixels, we were left to believe that they couldn't get a series of cell phone pings. And yeah, that's a very, very good point that you make there, Subpack Vet. An extremely good point. Why can't they get a series of cell phone pings to identify who this guy is? Also, okay, the campus wasn't plastered with cameras, but I'm sure many businesses and other buildings around the campus were. So, are they looking at that footage to try and track this guy to a vehicle or something? If you can track this guy to a vehicle, get his cell phone pings, right? And then, you can get a CCTV camera footage of the vehicle's license plate or something, you got the guy. Or at least somebody he was riding with. So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird that there's this nationwide manhunt for this guy that gunned down some people. They're saying they can't find out who it is. They don't know who it is. So yeah, it's a very good point that you made there, Subpeg Vet. An extremely good one, in fact. Annie Get Your Gun says, looks like a woman. You mean the person in proximity, they're saying? I suppose it could be a woman in a hijab? Maybe? It looks like she's wearing glasses. or he or she's wearing glasses, it looks like. But other than that, don't really get a good look at the person either. And who knows if this person's even going to come forward, right? They may not even be interested in coming forward. Don't want the fanfare. All right. Subpack Vet says, at least it's not like, that drives me nuts. Yeah, I know. I can't stand it when people say like a billion times in a sentence. Totally unnecessary. Q Patriot Angel, good to see you out there, says, just let Pixels do his thing. He's a patriot who just wants us informed. Love you since PSB. Much love to you, Q Patriot Angel. Really appreciate your beautiful comment out there. And indeed, that's my main goal. I just want you guys to know what's going on out there. That's my mission. J2 Dank out there with a can. Thank you very much for the can, J2 Dank. Once again, I really appreciate the support thus far. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. Trump says, why did Brown University have so few security cameras? So again, another very, very good question about what happened here. President Trump used a Truth Social post Wednesday to ask why Brown University had so few security cameras in the portion of the building where Saturday's shooting occurred. Trump posted, why did Brown University have so few security cameras? There can be no excuse for that. In the modern age, it just doesn't get worse. Breitbart News reported that Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Naranja admitted Tuesday there are few, if any, cameras in the area in which Saturday's shooting at Brown University took place. Naranja said, so there's the back part of the Barris and Holly Engineering and Physics building, the old part, and the front part, the new part. The shooting occurs in the old part towards the back, and that older part of the building, there are fewer, if any, cameras in that location, I imagine because it's an older building. So it's an older building that didn't want to run Ethernet, and that's why. That's why there's now a nationwide manhunt. They have no idea who the hell this guy is. Imagine that. Valhalla says, show that picture again. I'll show it again one more time. Here it is, and I'll put it in full screen for you guys to get a better look here and maybe zoom in just a tad. This is what that person looks like who was in proximity to the person of interest that they're trying to get a hold of. They're basically trying to figure out if this person got a good look at the suspect. Maybe they can get some useful information off this person. So there it is. Anyways, getting back into it here. Fox News noted that the Barris and Holly Engineering and Physics building was built in 1965. The Elizabeth Hazard Sturgis House, which serves as the school president's residence, was built in 1922 and acquired by Brown University in 1947, according to the Brown Daily Herald. Despite the university president's residence being older than the engineering building, Fox News pointed out that a view on Google Maps and images on other websites show what appear to be security cameras installed on the residence. So they were installed on the older residence, but not the older part of one of the campus buildings where allegedly the shooting took place. So there is that, guys. Once again, from Breitbart.com. Annie Get Your Gun says, hips say woman. And yeah, very well could be. I didn't think about that. But yeah, definitely wider hips. And it looks like it's a woman wearing a hijab and glasses. So probably a Middle Eastern woman, if I had to guess. Also based on the skin tone, very, dark olive skin tone there as well. So probably a woman of Middle Eastern descent. All right, next one here comes out of Breitbart as well. Tim Walz goes it alone, uses an executive order, or multiple executive orders actually, for gun control after legislature rejects his push. And let's hope that this is defeated in the judiciary, as a governor of a state cannot just create legislation out of thin air. It's not really how things work. So Governor Tim Walz signed executive orders Tuesday expanding Minnesota's red flag law, which you can't do, by the way, it's unconstitutional, and creating a statewide safety council intended to prevent mass violence and targeted attacks. Walz's gun control executive orders come after the state legislature refused to pass gun control measures he pushed after the August 27, 2025 Minneapolis Catholic school attack in which a transgender man who had been identifying as a woman opened fire during mass. According to KSTP, Walz said these actions today don't limit your freedoms at all. Being shot dead in your school certainly does. There's no one fix to this, but there are certainly things that we know. There are certain things that we've learned globally that make a difference, and these two actions will be another step in that direction. Walz did not mention that the Catholic school attacker used 3 guns, a pistol, a rifle, and a shotgun, and that he bought all 3 guns legally, which means he complied with the left's gun controls on acquisition. So there's that, once again, from Breitbart.com. Hopefully, Walz ends up getting massively sued for this, because a governor cannot just create legislation out of thin air with an executive order. That is not how the process works, and it is honestly disgusting for Tim Walz to try and do this, because it just flies in the face of our separation of powers. So There it is. Next one here comes from the National Pulse. Democrat lawmakers override governor's veto to establish slavery reparations commissions. Yeah, guys. The left, I've been talking lately about how the left has basically learned zero lesson at all. They have not learned any lessons from the 2024 election. They've not done a postmortem. They've not done any exercises in self-awareness whatsoever. It's like they still do not understand why they lost the 2024 election so badly. And this is another example of that. I think reparations are a poison pill when it comes to a politician's popularity in the United States, because Americans understand that the idea of reparations are both racist and fundamentally unfair and immoral. I think that the vast majority of Americans would agree with my statement there, that they're unfair, immoral, frankly unconstitutional, and racist. So why the hell do the Democrats feel that it's appropriate to push this, especially by doing so by overriding a governor's veto? So here we go. State lawmakers in Maryland overrode a veto from Governor Wes Moore to adopt Senate Bill 587. Legislation that establishes a government commission to study reparations for residents whose ancestors had been enslaved. Late Tuesday, the Maryland State Senate voted 31-14 to override the veto, while the State House of Delegates voted 93-35 to override. Both chambers surpassed the 3/5 threshold needed to circumvent the governor. The Maryland Reparations Commission, established by the legislation, is now tasked with studying and making recommendations relating to appropriate benefits to be made to individuals whose ancestors were enslaved in the state or were impacted by certain inequitable government policies. A preliminary report to the Maryland General Assembly is required to be submitted by January 1st, 2027, and a final report must be submitted to the governor and state legislature by November 1st, 2027. The commission will explore potential reparations, including monetary compensation, property tax rebates, child care support, debt forgiveness, and tuition waivers for higher education. Governor Moore had initially moved to veto the bill in May of this year, contending that the state already has engaged in multiple studies on slavery reparations, and that the lawmakers pushing the issue would better serve their constituents by focusing on policies that directly address the alleged racial disparities. In the veto letter sent to Senate President Bill Ferguson, Governor Moore noted that the Maryland state government had established numerous commissions and panels over the past 25 years examining a myriad of related issues. The legislation drew uniform opposition from Republican lawmakers. Speaking on the State House floor on Tuesday, Delegate Matthew Morgan warned the bill was a move toward race-bait handouts. He stated this bill betrays the original intention, the unifying event of the civil rights movement. It's immoral and it's fiscally ruinous to this state, and it sends a message to the generations out there now in Maryland that if you're concerned about fairness, dignity, opportunity, flee Maryland. The Legislative Black Caucus of Maryland celebrated the override vote, declaring it a landmark action in a post on social media. Likewise, Delegate Terry Hill said the establishment of the commission is a move that she and fellow Democrat lawmakers still feel is the right one. So there it is, once again, guys, from thenationalpulse.com. Could not be more disgusted with the Maryland legislature. But can we really say that we're surprised in any way, shape, or form over this story? I honestly cannot say that I'm surprised at all. It would be a lie if I said I was surprised that leftist Maryland decided to do this. Hopefully, though, Maryland voters are noticing this and realizing that, holy crap, we really need to get these people the hell out of power, right? Maybe it lights a political fire up under their butt. We shall see, my friends. All right, moving on to the next one here, which comes from Breitbart.com. Federal judge will not temporarily halt Trump's ballroom after preservation group sued. This is actually not the outcome that I suspected. I suspected a leftist judge to come in here and be another thorn in the side of President Trump, as they have been for basically an entire year now. So a federal judge said that he will not temporarily halt the construction of President Trump's White House ballroom following a lawsuit from the National Trust for Historic Preservation. U.S. District Judge Richard Leon said on Tuesday that the organization did not adequately show that great and certain harm would come if Trump did not temporarily halt construction, noting that below-ground work will not begin until January and above-ground work is scheduled for April per The Hill. Leon did, however, put the Trump administration on fair notice that it should be prepared to remove below-ground changes if it were to alter the above-ground structure. If it does, then the court will address it. I can assure you of that, Leon said. The administration has until the end of December to submit its construction plans to 2 federal review panels. The preservation group sued Friday, asking for a temporary restraining order to stop the project until after it wins congressional approval and goes through multiple independent reviews and a public comment period, noted The Hill. They argue that the administration skirted laws that require consultation with the National Capital Planning Commission and Commission of Fine Arts before making significant changes, it added. The Trump administration has countered, saying that the construction of the ballroom is a matter of national security, per the Associated Press. The administration's 36-page filing included a declaration from Matthew C. Quinn, Deputy Director of the U.S. Secret Service, the agency responsible for the security of the president and other high-ranking officials, that said more work on the site of the former White House East Wing is still needed to meet the agency's safety and security requirements, noted the AP. The filing did not explain the specific national security concerns. The administration has offered to share classified details with the judge in a private, in-person setting without the plaintiffs present, it added. So there it is. Once again, guys, from Breitbart.com. And of course, I will keep you guys updated on the whole White House ballroom situation. Probably one of the less important stories out there, but I do want to keep you guys at least updated on all the legal issues that the administration's involved in. 2 in the Pink with a cookie says, hey, seasoned pickles. Been a long time. Has Trump came on tonight already? We're still waiting on him. It'll be another half hour, I believe, until he is scheduled to come live. We're going to be pulling that up from the White House YouTube page at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Very much looking forward to what he has to say tonight. And that's actually the reason I went live an hour later than usual on the channel today, because I thought we would kind of build the show around President Trump's announcement tonight. So there is that. With that being said, guys, we are at that halfway mark of the show. We still have a lot more news to get into here and looking forward to covering the rest. However, we are going to be following or going over to Pilled.net exclusively for the rest of the night. I do recommend you guys follow us over. Pilled is a super fantastic platform. Really awesome community on there. Really great people. And just a lot of really fun features and whatnot in the chat and everything else. So I do recommend you guys follow us over for the rest of the news. And, of course, the rest of the show, President Trump's announcement tonight. Looking forward to that. If you guys want to follow us over, there are 2 links you can use to follow us to Pilled. First one is the welcome link. That'll help you get set up on Pilled. Grab yourself your username. It's going to show you how to hit the bell, get notifications, and stuff like that. So I do recommend, if you guys are new to Pilled, to use that first link. However, if you are not new to Pilled, you already have an account, a username, you can chat, and all that good stuff. That second link should be very useful for you guys. It'll allow you to come right over to the channel with one singular click. So follow us over, fam. We have a lot to get into here for the rest of the night, and very much looking forward to it. So we're going to play a quick video here for Pilled.net, and then we'll be right back with the rest of the news, and then President Trump's announcement from the White House tonight. On the other side of this quick little video. Real quick, Northern Pike says, LOL, gotcha thinking, hey, I'm a dumbass and can't spell sometimes, and I pause with nothing or a long pause. While I'm gathering thoughts. When I know the thought was just there, it's okay. Yeah, we've all been there, my friend. And then Northern Pike with another Rumble rant out there says, shh, Pixels is speaking. Much love to you out there once again, Northern Pike, for the Rumble rants. I really, really appreciate it. All right, guys, follow us over to Pilled.net. We'll do the rest of the show over there, and I'll see you guys in less than 60 seconds. Here we go.
Pilled.net is proud to host The Breakdown, exclusively on the true home of free speech. To continue watching the show, we are here to help you over to Pilled. If you're new to the platform, just click on the welcome link. It will automatically walk you through signing up for your free account. If you already have a Pilled account, follow the link provided to take you directly to the Season Pixels stream. We are excited to have you join the Pilled family. And if you have any questions at all, just email support@Pilled.net. Enjoy the rest of the breakdown with Season Pixels, exclusively on Pilled.net. Free speech lives here.
Indeed, free speech lives over on Pilled.net. Follow us over, guys. A lot more news to get into here, and then we have President Trump's speech in a bit. So looking forward to it, and I'll see you guys over on Pilled.